All right, I'm here with Dylan. We're going to talk for 15, 20 minutes. We're going to have an amazing time. I just got a piece of chocolate in me with caffeine, and it's marinating my whole body with energy as I speak. We're going to have a fantastic, quick interview that's going to go by like a blink of an eye. Before we start, I just want to say my website is joresults.com. You go to that, put your email in it, get my free ebook. It's going to change your life. And then after you read it, join my subscription service, which is monthly. It's the price of one meal. Let's begin. All right. Let's see your name. Well, the name here does say Jukebox Ginger, but we can call you either one, which you're fine with. And
Yeah.
I
Yes,
go
I'm fine with either.
I go by 100 nicknames myself.
I feel like it's fitting between like my work life and my social media presence to have kind of that alias name.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to wear this black cap which fit my head very nicely, but it also made me look like the musician Edge. One of my friends called me Baby Edge, so everyone was calling me Baby Edge for a few months, and now nobody calls me that anymore. People call me other names, good and bad, but the bad only means that I am becoming more and more well known because if you're lukewarm, you're just like, that guy's all right. No, I want people to hate me and I want people to love me. That's what I'm all about. All right, so let's talk about you
Bring it on, man. What you got?
first. How has your day been?
It's been busy. I've this is the second podcast I've been on today, and after this, I'm interviewing a music artist, and then after that, I have another podcast of mine that I'm doing. I hung out with my kids a little bit earlier. This is a good day off. Busy, but good day off.
Yeah, I rarely talk to people that do more than one podcast a day, and I usually do between one and three podcasts a day. This is the only one that I'm doing now, and I love there's pros and cons to both doing it virtual and in person, but I love how you can do it with anybody in the world with a podcast that's virtual. So
Right.
I did one with somebody from Australia the other day, and then
Mhm.
a, a few hours later I did one with somebody in Ohio. So you can do them all across the world. And then what's so nice is for me, I found that it improves my social skills, and it does it not a very large amount, but over time, it actually is a large amount. One at a time keeps improving it because you're getting insights into that person's psyche and what they're thinking and
Exactly.
how they feel and their perception of the world. It's almost kind of like traveling. It's like because I notice when I travel, I just feel I go to somewhere new and I come back to a place I've been. I feel like a new person. I have all these perspectives. And it's kind of like that when I do podcasts with all kinds of people. And
Right.
because I teach dating. I tell guys, I say, one, travel as much as you can, if you can, because it's going to benefit you. It's going to make you see things differently. And another thing you could do, anybody, if you have a microphone, you don't even really need a microphone, just your computer mic. But a microphone does enhance the quality because
Right.
audio is king in podcasts and in video production. And you need, if you can, have a good webcam. That's all you really need. And you can talk to all kinds of people, but you have to be persistent. I think
Mhm.
persistence is key because if you're starting out and nobody knows who you are, a lot of people don't give a shit. They just don't really care.
Mhm.
So I've I've done maybe 30 or 40 the past year, and in the past month I've done about 20. And a lot of people quit at around 15, 20
That's
podcasts.
very true. I have 16 podcasts. I host four of them, but I manage 16. I have a passion for it, man. Like you said, talking to people from around the world. I've met artists from Greece. I've met people in Australia. The other night I did one with somebody in Ireland. Um, I like to talk to people. and like kind of get their perspective, and not just on their lives, but like their views of our like where we live and how things go here. Because
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of things that are shielded from us that live here, that the outside world sees, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That makes complete sense. What got you into doing podcasts?
When COVID hit, I I found a podcast. I just stumbled upon it. I didn't even know what it was, and I listened to it, and it was a time suck with Dan Cummins. This was the name of the podcast, and I listened to it, and I was like, I could do this. So I started doing a little bit of research. I found out that Spotify had like this audio platform that you could record like a phone call with somebody. So I built a little pillow fort, and I used my cell phone, and I started having phone conversations or recordings with doctors, wrestlers, comedians, and I just was fascinated by the fact that I could just do that. So I bought my first set on Amazon. I bought like a $35 mic set. It was garbage. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. But it was something. Um, and I just ran with it, man. And now I've not only got a passion for it, like I'd love to make a career out of it. I'm currently working on building a whole network of just podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people can't take the negative parts though. Like, so for me, one negative thing that I've experienced is when I'm doing them is I'll talk to all kinds of people. Like you said you talk to wrestlers. I've talked to medical doctors before. I talked to a best-selling author, all kinds of people. But even with talking to a lot of people, if you're not in the what do they call it, mega influencer sphere, or even a high level macro influencer, people still will flake. And I notice people will flake out of like nowhere. And
Yeah.
that's the annoying part. And a lot of people I think fail there. But if you can get past that and you can be like, I'm okay with some people flaking here and there because that's part of the game.
Yes.
If I can be okay with that, then and I'm consistent because you said you've been doing this for a while, then the world could actually be yours in a short amount of time because you take someone like you take the Fresh and Fit podcast, those guys, it took them about 2 years to actually get pretty big.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they're all over the internet. They have millions and millions and millions of views. And yeah, that's for the flaky thing's the only real negative part about it for me. Editing's
Well,
kind of annoying too, but if you can conquer both of those, get them out there, yeah, I think the world is ours in the long run.
and I've really editing is huge. So I do all my stuff live. I like that raw reaction from people because it makes for good clips. I love making clips to give exposure to the people that I have on. Um, but I also want the viewers to have the opportunity to ask questions. I don't have anything against pre-recorded. Actually, I think it's great. I personally like to have that opportunity for the viewers to kind of give their input or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's the editing process to me has built my creativity, I think. And I've learned how to remove dead air. Or like when I'm rewatching a show, I can be like, okay, hey, I see that I let that guy ponder too long. Maybe I should have assisted him and reworded the question, stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I used to interrupt people a lot. I just cut it and I was like, oh, and then I rewatch it. I'm like, oh, there I am interrupting this guy 3 times. Maybe next time I'm going to be a little bit more patient and let them speak some more. And then I can go and I can say all these things I want to say.
Mhm.
And you learn things through rewatching your own podcasts or rewatching videos of you speaking in front of people. It's actually one of the best ways to learn because you're almost a third person. It's almost like that scenario where you're in a movie theater and you're actually watching yourself and you go, "Oh, I messed up there, there, and there." And then you can improve upon it on the next one. Or I used to
Right.
say a few ums and ahs and I have decreased that dramatically in my speech or saying a few you knows.
Yes.
So over time, you become better and better the more that you do them. That's the other thing that's so cool. It's almost like your public speaking. You get to see, oh, I messed up there, there, and there,
Uh-huh.
which is great. It's totally great.
I
And
agree.
So we already talked about how you got into podcasts. You said about COVID around that time, and you found how easy it was. The other thing I like is you said lives.
Mm,
I just started doing lives. I love them.
mm,
And you take someone like I Show Speed, that guy does lives where he has almost a million people watching on his live. And
it's
then he
awesome.
has, when they're done, he has 7, 8 million views at the end of the live. And my future podcasts are going to be live. I'm currently using a program called Restream. We're going to see if I like that one in the long run, but
Yeah,
it seems to be one of the better ones. And I'm doing one tomorrow, so I'll have it set up by that time to do it live. And if you do it live, from what I see, it takes away from the time you have to edit something. So
correct.
it's already up there, already done.
Yeah,
And the tricky part about it, or the thing that might make people nervous, is that because it's live, you can't go back and change things. So you're on the spot. It's almost
mm,
like if you're doing a speech in front of live audience on a podium, you can't really go back and change it. So some
right.
people that really might scare off, but I think the algorithms are going to be pushing that more and more in the future. What are your
And
thoughts on the future of lives?
I think that the algorithm has changed a lot, especially with Facebook, because Facebook seems to be my biggest reach. I stream to YouTube and I stream to Facebook. Facebook has recently really kind of opened up to what you can and can't do or say. So, like, if a guest happens to whoop out a cigarette, even though I don't want them to, and then it's not going to get blocked.
Yeah.
Um, but I've gotten a lot more views through the groups that I share to and stuff like that. And I think that the algorithms are starting to kind of adjust towards some of the smaller name people like us, as long as you follow certain things. Like there's certain ways that you can like improve them. And I'm still learning them because sometimes I get a lot of views, sometimes I don't get much at all. But like certain tags, certain the way you word the title of the episode, sometimes it's as far as the file name being renamed to relate to the show itself. But when you figure out what works, which there's something called vidIQ. It's an app I have on my phone. It links to my YouTube channel and it'll tell me kind of what I can change in the video to maybe help boost those views. So I think that the direction that technology is going, it's trying to help people like us be seen. You know,
Yeah. I've been doing, I like AI an immense amount, although there's a lot of flaws in it. One thing I tried using was Opus Clip, and it's supposed to have the virality of it based on, section it off for you. But I found that it doesn't really correspond exactly the way that it says it will. So I'm going to look into that vidIQ and see how good it is. But there's two things that I love, and I mentioned this on one of the other podcasts that I do. One is ChatGPT is has progressed dramatically in the past few months. So I use that with all kinds of things. I'll use that for even scheduling. How do I want to schedule my day? How do I want to schedule? What do I want to do with my team that I'm working with? I will use DeepSeek as well. And I can maybe put one question through ChatGPT and then put it in through DeepSeek, see what that thinks, and go from there. But you can use it for endless things.
but do you
You can
pay for
use,
these?
what'd you say?
Do you pay for these?
So ChatGPT is a $20 subscription currently. There's a there's two subscriptions. You can do it free or you can do it for a $20 one, and there's a higher tier one which is $200. I'm only using the $20 one. DeepSeek is completely free. It's touted as the Chinese ChatGPT, and it was attacked maliciously maybe about a week ago, but it's still up and it's running, and it has two features. What you can do with it is a deep think for deep seek. So it will go through multiple algorithms to spit out an answer. And there's also a search on it. So if you want, oh, who are the top 10 most famous soccer players right now, or football players or basketball players, and you have the search, you'll click that. It will be more accurate. What and it's arguably more accurate than ChatGPT. The thing that I like about ChatGPT though is you can have audio conversations with it. You can
That's
you can
cool.
you can literally, let me see, I'll get out my phone. We could do it real briefly here. I'll do a quick one here. And I'm going through a hot spot, so it should be good. But it goes like that. Can you hear me? And can you understand what I'm saying? Now it's thinking when it's like that. So you can talk whenever it's like that.
Yeah, I hear you and understand exactly what you're saying. You're wondering why OBS is showing up like that on his screen, right?
No.
It looks like it's being
You have
That's
to
cool
talk to
though.
it for a few seconds.
Uh,
Okay, I'm currently in a podcast right now. It is a virtual podcast. I'm talking with Jukebox Ginger, and we're having a conversation. Did you understand that? Now it should be able to pick that up. It takes, sometimes it'll
Yeah, I
take,
got you. You're in a virtual podcast right now, talking with Jukebox Ginger, and you're having a conversation. Sounds like you're in the middle of it. How's it going so far?
oh, that's neat.
it's going amazing. What would be one good question that I can ask him right now? And again, it's analyzing. But you could do this while you're
Glad it's
brushing your
going great.
teeth.
A solid question you could ask Jukebox Ginger is, what's one lesson you've learned from podcasting that has completely changed the way you approach conversations? This gets him to reflect on his experience, share insights, and could lead to a deeper discussion. Let me know if you need another.
All right, what's one lesson you've learned from podcasting that's completely changed your world and your experience?
When you're the host and you are inviting someone on, research the person. The reason being is, most of my shows are about an hour long. But if I have a guest on that has no voice or doesn't really have the social skills,
Yeah,
my 1 hour show can end in 20 minutes because they don't have an answer.
yeah,
So kind of gauging the guest that you're having on. For me, the biggest thing is I'll schedule them like a week out, and I'll do a little research. I'll look at their profiles. I'll be like, hey, look, see some of their pictures or their videos. Maybe they have an IMDb page, and you can check out trailers for some of the stuff they've done or watch some of their films. This gives you kind of a way to kind of gear the direction of the show, especially if that person needs kind of that piggyback, because they just don't have the skills
yeah,
to kind of react or respond as quickly as you and I could.
yeah, yeah. That's a good, that's a good insight. It's definitely a good insight. And part of it is also if you have the time to do it. It can be very difficult if you're doing two or three in a day, or if, let's say, by chance the person scheduled it that same day and you're like, all right, let's do it regardless, and we're both on. So it could be difficult to do
Yeah.
a lot of researching. But if you can, that makes total sense because then you know more about their world. And then you're like, oh, we can talk about this, we could talk about that, and then you can just go on and on. Makes total sense. But yeah, with the chat GPT thing, I was gonna say, and it got cut off. You could even be like, you could be driving. You could be talking with it, and it could do a deep analysis about anything. I could say, oh, let's say I'm going to teach this guy. I need to help him improve his social skills. I need to help him as a dating coach. What are some areas we can talk about that would help him improve his social skills? What are some inner belief conversations and questions I could ask? And usually it's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate.
That's awesome.
That's why I love doing it. And yeah, that one's only $20. And then the Deep Seek is completely free. It's completely free. And I'll look into the vidIQ thing as well.
Yeah.
And it probably has some legitimacy based on what you
So what
said.
it can do is it'll look at your videos and it'll say, hey, maybe you should throw this hashtag in there. Maybe you
Yeah.
should. Here's title suggestions, maybe a description suggestion. What's your target audience? So it breaks it down like that. And I really like the fact that it does that. It's not something, and a lot of things that I do. If I don't have an idea of a conversation, I'll use like Messenger's meta. I'll be like, hey man, I need a topic to
Yeah.
discuss, and then I'll tweak it based on what I like and don't like, and then it'll tweak with me until I find something I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
great. My last question for tonight will be what are, because you've already done a nice amount of podcasts, we both have, and we're going to continue to grow. What would be some of your short-term goals, maybe during, let's just say during this year, that you have for your podcast and growth? If you could explain that to the audience, and then I'll ask you about your how someone can contact you, and we'll wrap it up.
Okay. My biggest goals right now. So I have four admins. I'm potentially in the works of getting a fifth admin. Because I have a network, it's a lot to do because I have a day job. I've also got a wife and kids, so I try to be a husband. I try to be a father.
Yeah.
Plus, I have to provide. Um, so this being a passion for me, I would love to see this be seen by a bigger name, maybe somebody that wants to sponsor or back it. You know, those sponsorships really help fuel networks and stuff like that. Because my long term goal is to be like a Netflix or a Hulu, but it just constantly streaming live podcasts, live shows, independent films that people want out there. And I don't want it to be something that costs money to the person. I want it to be a free service that I can provide for people. Obviously, maybe some ad spots because that's how that stuff works. But I love to give people a place to be heard. You know, if somebody's got a voice and wants to be heard, I want to help them. So my short term goal is just to continue to expand it. You know, I would like for these 16 podcasts to turn into 30 by the end of this year.
Yeah.
And I think having a team to support it is the glue to building that network.
Yeah. 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 Sounds good. That sounds good. But yeah, the team, having a team and having the systems. If we
Mm-hmm.
have those set up, then the sky is even, it's limitless how far you
Mm-hmm.
can go. So if
The
somebody
only
wants to contact you, let's say somebody wants to do a podcast with you, what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
So you can either email me at jukeboxginger88 at gmail.com, or you can just find JG's Lounge on every social media platform out there and DM me, and I'll respond. I'm willing to help anybody if they're doing it for the passion. I have turned people away because they're like, "Hey, I have a good money pit idea." And I don't. That's. I want you to do it because you want to do it and because you have a passion for it. I don't want to help somebody that doesn't have the right mindset behind why they're doing it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And if somebody wants to get a hold of me, just go to joresults.com, and
It's
then
right there.
all you do, it's right there. Yeah, it's even in my name. And then all you do is you just type in your email, and then you get my free ebook. And if you like my free ebook, you can get my subscription service, which is only $27 per month. It's a new wave. And that's the end of the podcast.